So good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us here on our Tuesday Teacher Talks. I'm Michelle and my partner in crime is Sue here, where we form our business of teaching together. And the main thing about our business is that we just love to share all the learning that we've been doing over the past few years, especially around the science of reading and the science of learning. And through our research and discovery, we've been playing around with ChatGPT, and we know that it's such a great tool for teachers, yet not everyone's really quite sure where to start with it. So that's why we're hosting tonight. Sue, anything to add?
No, I think you've covered it. I suppose the only thing I would say is that ChatGPT is not really our wheelhouse. What our wheelhouse is structured literacy and how to create amazing book studies and knowledge-rich units to teach fluency and vocabulary and comprehension, alongside working with phonics programs. So that's what we know about. But what we've discovered about ChatGPT is it can make those jobs just so much easier. So I think we need to get into it and show some of the cool stuff it can do.
Yes. All right, let's get started. Now, you might have to keep me on track with time because it's very hard to do all of it at once. So let's get started. First, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land where we are presenting today, the Wurundjeri people, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. We would also like to acknowledge any other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here tonight. So we are recording, as we said, and we have done some introductions in the chat. So welcome, everyone. So what is ChatGPT? Very basic definition is that it's an artificial intelligence tool that is programmed to respond to your questions in a very conversational manner. So as Sue and I know, we end up having, it feels like an actual conversation with the computer, saying, no, not that, can you try this? We have discovered that there is so much potential with ChatGPT, and here are just a few of the things that we've tried so far. We've made personalised text by entering a subject matter, year level, specific vocab, length of text, and complexity. We've done quizzes, comprehension questions, closed texts. We've been looking for lesson ideas. It's very good at giving you a whole bunch of ideas. If you were to say, I need to teach a unit on health for year 4, and it will spit out a bunch of ideas for you, and then you can just pick and choose. We've had a little bit of a play with maths explanations. In one of my roles, I provide intervention and do tutoring, and I have some high school kids. So this area of maths was a little outside my comfort zone, but I used ChatGPT to help me create easy definitions and explanations for the kids that I was working with. It was really helpful. It can create lesson plans or whole units. Tables of information and data. Word lists are great too. And summary of research, concepts, articles, books. So if you don't have time but you've heard about this really great book, like about the science of reading, we've been doing that, or we've been trying to get quick summaries to put into some other documents that we've been making. So really the question is, what can't it do? So let's take a look. This is the main screen that you log into. Now, hopefully you've all had a chance to sign up. So when we go in, it tells us here that these are some of the features. It can give us examples, like explaining explaining things, getting creative ideas, how to do things. It remembers what you've already asked and then responds, keeping that in mind, which is where that conversation kind of comes into it. And here a nice little safeguard: train to decline inappropriate requests. And the limitations are occasionally generating incorrect information. So in what we're providing here tonight and in some of the supporting materials that we're providing, we do always say, read over it carefully. You may need to fact check, and we'll go into a little bit more about our experiences with that a bit later. So it's using, it's sort of going through lots of different information from the internet, but it's limited up to 2021. So if you are looking for really recent events or facts or details, it won't be accurate. So also on this screen, you can see down here, send a message. That's just where you put in your prompt. Let's go through one. Okay, here's my example. Oh. For a personalised text, I entered in, can you create a text for a Year 3 student that explains, I didn't check that well, why ancient Egyptians were mummified and buried in secret tombs. Keep it to about 200 words and include some figurative language. And it says, sure, here's a text, and then it starts typing it up for you. So what we've done here is we've typed in our prompt or request, what we're looking for. Read the response carefully. It may not be accurate or exactly what you had hoped for. So the next step would be to revise and provide clarifying prompts. So my next prompt, after it gave me a lovely piece of text, was, can you take out the bit about being cuddled in a soft blanket? Didn't really like that. Didn't think the kids would. I didn't think it didn't really match what we were talking about with ancient Egypt. And ChatGPT, our friend, says, certainly, here's the revised text. So once we've got our text that we're pretty happy with, we can ask for more things. Like, can you give me a list of tier 2 words? And there it is. We asked for comprehension questions. When I was asking for the comprehension questions, I asked for 5 of them, and I said to include literal, inferential, and something about the figurative language. And so there we go. Consider creating extension or simplified versions of the same text, because as we all know, in our classes, we might have a wide range of student ability. So we want to give them the same sort of content. We want them all to have access to this learning about ancient Egypt and mummies, but not all of them will have the same reading ability and decoding skills. So we could create a simpler version and ask for less words. We could pick certain words that we want to remove because we know they might be too difficult. Or we could have an extension for those kids that whiz through our work and we want to give them something more. So I asked for a simpler version of the text in about 100 words, which it did. I then thought, well, I could use that just with some of my kids, but I chose to turn it into a close activity. So that same simplified text, I then asked it to turn into a close. And so it removed a few of the keywords and it gives you which are those keywords so that you have the answers there ready to go. Then what? So we have a big long text on the screen, but it's still in ChatGPT. So we need to take that and put it into a document that's going to be easy for us to use, whether we're going to put it up on a screen in our classroom or print it out and hand it around to students. So copy and paste the bits that we were happy with in the end and format it to suit your class's needs with your preferred style. You may need to remove the border and background color. So when I found I've copied and pasted from ChatGPT just into my Microsoft Word or Google Docs, I've found it just does this very faint little background and a little border. So shall I just finish, or do you want to say something here?
I was just going to say, I've got a couple of tips to save you doing that. You keep talking, and clearly I haven't had a chance to teach you that yet. So once we get through this, I'm happy to actually jump on ChatGPT and take us through that process. And did you see how
Perfect.
I put up my hand?
Yes, thank you, Sue. So this is sort of what it would look like, well, the way I've been doing it, but Sue's going to show us a few little tips and hacks around it. So I just make sure there's no border and put the no color on it. And popped it into my Word document. I changed the font to one that I'm happy with. I enlarge it so it suits the students that I'm working with. Give it a decent heading. I did this super quick, this one, so I would probably play around with it a little bit more, especially the second page with that close activity. I'm not really happy with that, but like I said, I was just trying to get something on the page really quick for our presentation here. I would also maybe think about putting an image in there or having a space for some extended writing at the end. So, Sue, do you want to give us a bit of your insight into the style and tone?
Okay, if you can click your next point for me.
Yes.
So it's really important. Michelle said before that you could ask for the text to be simpler. I mean, you can even say, could you make this text appropriate for a grade 1 classroom? You can even use, or for 8-year-olds or something like that. You can be that specific. But the other thing is that you can say, can you, let's say what you wanted to do was to create a classroom newsletter, for example. So you could say, I want to write about these topics. I want you, for a classroom newsletter, I want you to write it in a friendly but professional style. You could get it to write a poem for you for a particular, perhaps you're studying something about limericks or something like that. You could get it to write you a limerick, and so you could suggest that you write it in that style. You can even say, write it the way Oprah Winfrey would write it, or Hemingway, if you like Hemingway's very spare and succinct style. So it is actually clever, very clever, and perhaps if we get time, we can actually show you some of those things when we put our prompts in. So obviously we were coming up with all sorts of different ways that you could get it to. I know I've used write it in a snappy style that sometimes gives you not too bad information, but obviously you have to think about the audience you're writing for. And the other thing is you can ask it, as I said, to write in a particular style. The other thing that I've found that's really important is to put in your prompt, act like you are a primary school teacher in Australia. And even putting in that act like you are really lets ChatGPT know lots about the way you might write. The other thing you can do is take a piece of text of your own that you have written, particularly if it's perhaps you're writing report comments. I know I've been watching online, there's quite a few people who've been experimenting with report comments. What you do is you actually copy and paste in some of your writing or the way that you write report comments that you've been happy with in the past. You can say, please write the following report comments in a similar tone to the following text, and then you paste that in. So you can even get it to follow your style of writing. I don't know if anyone on here tonight, and here it is giving the game away, follows my Substack newsletter, but I've actually taught ChatGPT by putting in previous articles and said, help me come up with something in this style. And I do edit it. You are not getting straight ChatGPT in my newsletter, but it can be really helpful.
Great. So these are just a few ideas that we've been brainstorming, but it really does feel endless right now. We've used ChatGPT for creating lesson plans, some ideas, lessons, activities, lists of books, whole sequenced units based on a skill or on a piece of knowledge, quizzes, assessment tasks, rubrics. I was playing around with rubrics just a couple of days ago, and it gave me a really extensive response to it. So I was just thinking, that's great, but I wouldn't use all of it. So it's really sort of like your springboard ChatGPT. You start there and then you refine and find what's going to actually work and meets your needs. Vocab tasks. It could create scripts for you for your reader's theatre. Spelling tasks, sample texts with the words. So you might be using a spelling program at your school. You take your list, you put it in ChatGPT, and then ask it to come up with some tasks and put it into a text so that the kids can read it and find the words and underline it, and it will give you examples, vocab, sentences, definitions, both examples and non-examples, and worked examples can be really helpful too. Class newsletters, like Sue was mentioning, presentations, report comments. You can include your instructional techniques, like if you want to make sure that your lesson has some turn and talk points in there, and if you want to do some yes/no answers, if you're putting into the lesson plan, you might want it to be an I do, we do, you do structure. You can put all those things in there. So we've just been playing around with a few sort of handouts that could be really helpful for teachers just to get started, but it really is, you can put as many things in the prompt as you can think of. So we shared this resource with you in the email when we sent this out for tonight, and we're in the process of making some more like this. These are some of the key things that I think about when I'm putting in my prompt. So subject, what is the content I want it to relate to, or is it a specific skill, like in a sentence level skill, using appositives or something like that from the Writing Revolution, and then you can link it into whatever your integrated unit might be. I was doing the mummies before. We're working in a school, and today we were doing properties of matter. We could link it all back in. So it's really strongly connected. Putting in your year level or age of students, and sometimes you might need to approximate where you think a student is working at rather than an actual age. The length of the response, style, specific language features, like having similes in there, what type of tone, upbeat, humorous, serious, and those instructional techniques that we were just mentioning before. So you've always got lots of ideas about what you can put into the prompts. Do you want to add anything in here, what you've tried?
I think we'll keep going, and then we can actually do some live. What do you reckon?
Great. Yep, sounds like a good plan. So I've just put this in. You can download this and you can join that. So this is the Facebook page, one of the big ones that some of you might already be on. It is, I think it's worldwide. And there are people putting things in there about all sorts of different ideas, and putting their questions in there too and getting great answers.
There's an Australian one too. I'm not sure if that's it, but we can send out the links to the Australian one in an email.
Great. So beware, all that glitters is not gold. There are some issues that we need to be wary of. As we said earlier, the content may not always be accurate. So one example I've come across is I was doing some curriculum work and I was looking for the descriptors from our Victorian curriculum, and it looked right. The descriptors sounded right and they had the little code at the end. But then when I went in and double checked, they were way off. And I have no idea where ChatGPT actually got this from. I asked it, where did you get this from? And it gave me a link, but it took me nowhere. So just be really careful of if you're doing something that's quite specific and you need to be accurate, then ChatGPT may not be for you for that particular purpose. Also today, we were doing a little bit of work and looking for a word family on extinct, and it put in extinctedly, and I'm thinking, is that really a word? And so we looked it up, or we corrected it. We asked ChatGPT, is extinctedly a real word? And it apologizes and corrects itself. So sometimes I feel like it's just giving you anything that it feels it's maybe heard before in a way. I know it is AI, but also you should not be using specific or private data about yourself or your class or your school, because they are collecting the data that we enter. So we do need to be aware of that. And if you're trying to access it while you're at school, it may be blocked. So at the moment, it is a big unknown for schools and students, especially older students who might be exploring it, may have figured out that it can be great for doing their homework for them. And teachers are still not quite sure how to detect ChatGPT work from a student. And I am by no means an expert in this area, so I'm not really going to comment, just that as a teacher in primary aged schools, it's a really helpful tool from this end. So we might come back to this. So Sue, I might stop sharing for a minute and you can start sharing, and let's have a little play. Or do we want to, are there any questions at this point in time? We can maybe go on and explore that.
If you've got questions, just jump on and ask them. That's fine. Hopefully you're all still there. All right, so I just realised, sorry, I have to apologise, maybe you can't see, but I spent the first half of the session with my serviette tucked into the top of my top. You can tell I was eating my dinner just before we started. That I had to admit that. And thank you, Jasmine, for your feedback that there's no questions, but you're finding it incredibly interesting and useful. So I tried to shut down as many tabs as I possibly could before I got on. But if you're anything like me, I imagine you have thousands of tabs open and you never shut down your computer. So we're going to be very forgiving when I share my screen. I haven't got crazy amounts open. So I'm just going to try and find the right one. I'll just share my whole screen. Michelle, will you give me heads up if, okay. Can everybody see that?
Yep, I can.
Great. All right, so I'm going to start a new chat. Is there anything that anybody wants to suggest? Anything that anyone would like me to have a try?
Can someone throw maybe a unit that they're studying or planning for later in the term or next term?
I'm happy to just have a go. Now, my screen's slightly different because I'm completely hooked on ChatGPT, and I have subscribed for a little while, so I occasionally get some ChatGPT 4, which all that means is it's sort of a more advanced model. You only get 23 messages in an hour. Really, ChatGPT 3.5 is the free one, and it's completely fine. All right, so I think I might ask about...
We had a suggestion of Year 2 chemical science.
Okay. Act like a primary... Sorry, I'm going to talk as I type. Like a primary teacher, oops, in Australia. Plan a 2-week unit based on the Australia... Sorry, I'll try and type faster. Curriculum for a Year 2 class. There, and I love this because you can just talk to it. There will be 3 1-hour sessions per week. Can you also suggest an appropriate assessment task? Let's see what it does. Everybody happy with that? Okay, terrifyingly fast. So let's see what it's done. Week 1, introduction to chemical science. Oops. Sorry, it's still just thinking, jumped around. What have we got? Understand the concept of changes in materials, explore reversible and irreversible changes. So you do freezing, melting and dissolving, conduct experiments. So freezing water and ice, cooking an egg, engage students in a discussion about the changes they observed. Okay, so that's all right. People who know this can tell I haven't taught science for a little while. We were very lucky and had a specialist science teacher. Okay, so look, it's given that. It's not a lot of detail, but I'm interested in the assessment tasks. Provide students with a variety of materials. Ask the students to select one material and describe its properties in a written or illustrated report. Students could also conduct a simple experiment to observe and record their findings, because I know there's a lot about working with and writing science reports in the curriculum. And that's the assessment criteria we'd want to check against it. So let's say I really liked this and I want to say, could you give me more information about the chemical reactions, experiment, in week 2. session 1, number 2, and provide a list of materials required. Got no idea how it's going to do that, but let's just see. Okay, so it's given us, should wait till it finishes. You can see how quick it is. It's not always that quick. If there's a lot of people on, it can be a bit slow. So it's given us our objectives, what the experiment is. Oh, that all looks pretty good. Gives you some procedures. Yep, and remember, always follow appropriate safety guidelines. Okay, can you create a list of open-ended questions that you can use for turn and talk? Jump in anytime, Michelle, and make suggestions. Am I doing okay?
You're doing great. It's funny how we approach things, like all of us teachers are probably thinking of, oh, I'd love to know this, or I'd love to know that next. So what I love as the supporting piece of material for this would be like an explanation or maybe a worked example of a scientific report about a chemical change.
Are you enjoying listening to me type? To the Australian, can you provide me with a worked example based on reference to the Australian curriculum? What else would you put in there? Anything else, Michelle? You're on mute.
I thought I unmuted. Sometimes I just hit enter because then as you read the response, you can refine it.
Okay. Oh, hang on. It's given us some of those tricky codes. In grade 2, we've been learning about chemical science and how different materials undergo changes. Hands up who's got a grade 2 who could write like that. Maybe I'm being rude. All right, I'm going to say, okay, but I think this text is way too advanced for most grade 2 students. Can you simplify but keep it, but keep the concept of a worked example? It should look like what a good one looks like. A good old waggle, sorry. Let's see. In grade 2, we learned about materials and how they can change. In this report, I will describe, what happened when I heated a plastic toy and how it changed. I chose a small plastic toy. Yeah, that's not too bad. Anyone's got any comments, wants to ask any questions? Was there something that you would like me to put in for you. And then I might go and do my next favorite thing, which is vocabulary. Got any comments? Just shout out if you have. Can you see how it might be useful?
Yeah, I think no one's commenting right now. That's fine. They're probably just all taking it in and probably thinking about, oh, what they're going to try themselves.
Yes.
Do we keep going with this? Or let's switch to something, a different concept or content.
Yep.
What do you think, Sue?
I'm happy to do so. Oh, we got a new chat. Oh, thanks for walking through the process. You're very welcome. So I'm going to do a new chat. Write a short passage about, give me a topic, butterflies. For a fluency passage for a grade 4 audience. All right, let's just do that. All right. Can you write it in the style of a non-fiction text? Interesting that it's put in introduction and body, but I mean, you can take that out when you copy and paste it. Oh,
I'm not sure if you're freezing there, Sue.
yeah, I just had a message to say my internet was a bit unstable. Is that okay now?
Yep, I can hear you again.
Okay, so then what I would do is I could say, please rewrite this passage for students in grade. So that was a grade 4 one. In grade 2. And you can see that it simplifies the language. And I know this is going really fast, so let's just compare the introduction for the grade 2 one and the grade 4 one. Butterflies are captivating creatures that grace our world with their vibrant colours and graceful flight. I think I might have said let's cut down on the flights of fancy, but anyway, they possess a fascinating life cycle, undergoing remarkable transformations. Anyway, so that's the introduction to the grade 4 one. We want them using that language. I shouldn't make fun of that. Butterflies are incredible insects that bring joy and beauty to our world. They go through a special process called metamorphosis. So you can see that it's simplified, and you can take it down lower if you need to. Another one could be, can you write this so it is suitable for a, let's say, 8-year-old English language learner? And it doesn't like me not putting a capital E on my English. Not that you have to fix it. You can write in any kind of way. Can I get, I don't know, just some thumbs up or something to say that this is the kind of thing that you think is useful? Because I could spend hours just generating stuff. So it didn't really change it that much. So you could work on that a little bit. It's not great at the moment. Sorry, did you want to say something, Michelle?
I was just going to ask you if you wanted to show us those tips about copying, pasting and formatting.
Oh, sure. Yep.
We've got from Jasmine, this is perfect, a definite time saver for fluency passages and comprehension passages.
Yeah, that's great. All right, so now Michelle told you before that you could go in here and say, write me a close activity, write me some comprehension questions, create me a clues for a crossword, give me all the tier 2 words, give me child-friendly definitions, all of that. In fact, that's what I might do just really quickly, and then I'll copy and paste. All right. Can you give me a list of the tier 2 words in this passage with a child-friendly, obviously don't know my mnemonic for spelling friend, with child-friendly definitions in a table. Okay, and so there's our vocabulary. Oh, and this drives me crazy. Can you regenerate? I fixed my typing way too much. Can you regenerate, but have the vocab words in lower case? Because we don't want random acts of capitalization in our work, do we, Michelle? Am I being a pedant?
Well, that's just one of my favourite features in Microsoft Word, is turning it all into lowercase.
Okay, so there's my table. So I'm going to highlight it, and trust me, selecting text is really fiddly and tricky. So what I found is start at the bottom and go up, and you'll well and truly select more sorry, than you need. So you can do Control-C, or I just do right mouse click, however you normally copy. And then I'm going to quickly open Word, or you can do Google Docs. This is a point that I hope there's nothing that I shouldn't have showing on my computer. You will all take pity on me. I'm just going to mute myself because I have to cough. I'll be 2 seconds. Okay, so when I go to paste, you can either go over here to Word and drop down that drop-down list. See this last one? That means paste without formatting. So if you click on that, it'll just go in without formatting, which is a pain because I've copied a table. So what Michelle was saying before, that if you paste it, it will give you the source formatting, which is what Michelle was saying, that it has some background and all of that kind of stuff. So what I would do is, I'm going to undo that. I would paste it without any formatting, and then you don't get any of that weird, I don't know, weird codes or stuff that come across. And then I would just, if I could see I've just got to move this out of the way. I can't see my menu. Insert table, convert text to table, tabs. There we go. And there's my little table. It's pretty quick to do that. Obviously, if you are copying text and not a table, let's get this passage. I didn't follow my own suggestion there. Start from the bottom and slowly, this is the painful bit, but hey, I'm willing to put up with this, to have not had to write that passage. Copy that, jump across to Word, and then you can do that, drop that down and paste without formatting, or if you're a right-click person, it just comes up in that menu. It comes in with extra paragraph marks, so I always leave my markers on. Sorry, I used to teach how to use words, so and all you have to do is go in and tidy it up and format it. Are there any other questions?
We had a couple of nice comments. People are finding this very useful, and
Yep.
it's interesting to see how it responds to your thought process.
Yep.
I wonder, we'll just go back into our presentation slides and do our final little bit.
Yeah, because so I'll stop sharing and I'll let you do that.
Sure.
Okay. Sorry, while you're sharing, the thing is that the way Michelle and I learnt about this was that we just had a go. And then I joined that Australian Facebook group for teachers. I learnt some prompts on there. I watch other people like doing like design stuff on YouTube. Like there's quite a bit of ChatGPT stuff on YouTube. You might have to listen to somebody who really doesn't know about teaching, but often the prompts can be really good that you can modify. But I think if we all jump on board on that Facebook group that's been created by this amazing woman, she's a Prin in Queensland, this Australian Facebook Chat GPT for teachers, we will send you the link. She started, like, she just put it out and there were like, you know, about 5 people on the first day. And then within a week, she had 5,000 members of that Facebook group. So that's how much people want to know about it. And, you know, we should stay in touch and share our ideas. I'll be quiet now.
Thanks, Sue. So we're just going to our other Tuesday Teacher Talks, a bit of a plug. So we've got a couple more coming up this term. We have in 2 weeks one about paired fluency routines. So this is a really great way to get your students reading fluently, but also that fluency builds to better comprehension and the vocabulary. It's just the gift that keeps on giving. Set up really properly with good routines and where to get your text from, which we actually can see today. ChatGPT will be one of those places we can get our fluency passages from. And later in the term, 13th of June, we will be doing another using accountable talk in your classrooms and getting your students to be more eloquent and confident speakers, answering in full sentences, not just giving the most basic answers in response to questions. We'd love for you to sign up. You obviously know how to do that because you signed up for tonight. It's on our website. And you can check out, we have some other resources there on our website, mostly relating to literacy and structured literacy, but also some of them are great instructional resources based on the science of learning as well. And please like us and follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. We are on Facebook, we are Teaching Together Australia. And I think the same on Instagram. So if you have any other questions or comments or ideas of what you'd like to see from us, either on these Tuesday Teacher Talks or more specifically relating to our session night with ChatGPT, we'd love to hear from you. So, Sue.
Sorry, I just like putting my hand up and you're giving me permission, Michelle. What I would like to say, if you didn't if all you did was sign up for this talk, that's great, and we're glad you came. But we also have another sign up on our website, which will actually take you across to our mailing list software, and we are starting to write a lot more regularly to our mailing list. And so if you are interested in hearing what we're up to, there's some pretty exciting stuff in the works. And I know we always say that, but there is more exciting stuff in the works. So if you'd like to hear more about what we do, you can sign up there.
Great. So that's us. Michelle and Sue, we're at Teaching Together. Send us an email, visit our website, follow us on Facebook, all those things. And I'm going to stop sharing. If there's anyone who would like to say any final things before we finish up. Thank you for all the comments that we have been getting throughout the session. We love that we're being able to help, and just, this is what we love doing, just sharing. When we find out our new exciting things, we are sharing with each other, but we want to spread the word and show all those other amazing teachers out there like yourselves these great resources and how they can really improve and engagement in your classroom. All right, well, I think you've all been inspired to go and have a go, and you just got to jump in. Thanks, Jasmine, for saying big thank you. Oh, I missed that. And Katrina. So we might finish up. Thanks, everyone.
See ya. Thanks, Kat. That's lovely. You're welcome. Hope to see you at the other webinars. See you later.